At 8:17 in the morning, a very rich man, worth over $120 million, picked up his car keys. At the same moment, a poor girl, a maid who earned less than $100 in a whole week, suddenly fell to her knees. Her body was shaking. Her eyes were full of fear. She looked up at him and begged, "Please, sir, don't go out today." Just a few hours later, by 12 noon, his car, a Lexus SUV, was destroyed. It had crashed on 3rd Mainland Bridge. The metal was twisted and smoking. The accident looked so bad, it seemed no one could have survived. And by midnight, 2 faces disappeared from every photo in his home. But this is not a movie. This is not a made-up story. This is a real confession, a true story that no one thought would ever come out. But tonight, you will hear it. His name was Edward Blake, a smart man. A man that everyone respected. No one thought anything could harm him. He was a big name in the world of real estate.
His life looked perfect from the outside. Big money, big house, big deals. But tonight, you will hear how he almost died. And it wasn't because of a robbery, it wasn't a scandal, it was something more private, more dangerous. A plan made by people very close to him. He didn't die. He survived, but just barely. And the person who saved him, she wasn't rich, she didn't have a college degree. She wore old shoes and ate leftover food. Her name was Grace.
That morning felt normal at first. Grace cleaned the floor. She opened the windows in the guest room. She boiled lemon water, just like every other day. She didn't make noise. She worked quietly, but something in the air felt strange that morning. The house felt heavy, like the walls were keeping a secret. Edward walked down the stairs at exactly 8:16 a.m. He wore a black suit that was carefully made for him, a silver watch on his wrist. He looked confident, like a man ready to sign a big deal, but when Grace saw him, she froze. She dropped the tray she was holding. It hit the floor with a loud sound. Her hands started to shake. Without thinking, she dropped to her knees in front of him. She didn't plan it. She didn't wait. She just said with fear in her voice, "Please, sir, don't go out today." She didn't give a reason. She just said it felt wrong. She said that if he left the house, he would not come back alive. Edward was not a man who believed in strange feelings or superstitions. But something in that moment made him stop. Maybe it was the way she held onto his trouser like she was holding on to life. Whatever it was, he paused. And then Charlotte came downstairs. She looked like a queen. She wore a silk robe. Her hair was already styled perfectly. Her voice was cold. "Why is the maid on the floor?" she asked. "FDA." Edward didn't say anything. He kept looking at Grace. Her hands were still shaking. Her lips were trembling. "FDA." Charlotte rolled her eyes. She said, "You shouldn't go out today," she said. Then she laughed. But it wasn't a happy laugh. It was a cruel laugh. "She's just lazy. She's afraid of work. Fire her." Grace didn't move. She didn't cry. She just said again, "Please, sir, I'm begging you." Edward looked at her for a full 10 seconds. Then he turned around. He walked over to the table. He put down his car keys. And he said, "I'm not going." Charlotte got angry. She walked away, talking to herself angrily. For the first time in a long time, Edward skipped a very important meeting. A meeting that could have helped or hurt his whole business. His driver had taken the Lexus instead. He used the same road, at the same time, had out big. A big container truck had lost control near a sharp turn on 3rd Mainland Bridge. People who saw it said the Lexus tried to move away. Then it rolled over and flipped 2 times. The car looked so bad that the ambulance team thought no one survived. The living room in Edward's house was silent. So silent that the silence itself felt loud. Charlotte's face changed. Charlotte came downstairs again. She was scrolling through her phone. He didn't sleep. He didn't speak. He just sat on the edge of his bed, looking up at the ceiling, like he was waiting for the cracks in the ceiling to talk to him. Grace cleaned quietly, as always. She didn't ask questions. She didn't look at him. The next morning, Edward opened his email. There was a message from his business partner, Toby. It was about the Dubai contracts. Toby wrote, "Just needs your signature." Grace was passing by. She slowed down. Then she quietly said, "Sir, please, don't sign anything this week." Edward looked at her, surprised. "Why?" he asked. Yeah. She looked down. "I don't know," she said. "But I saw you sign something. And after that, everything broke. You lost your company. And you were handcuffed." Edward didn't laugh. He didn't say it was silly. He didn't ignore her. He didn't laugh. He just watched her walk away. Then he locked the folder. Later that day, he started a private investigation. He didn't tell anyone, not even his assistant. What he found made his heart beat fast. Toby, his partner for 15 years, had created 3 fake companies. These companies were linked to business deals in Dubai and Ghana, but the bank accounts were fake. They were secretly moving millions of dollars away from Edward's company into secret accounts. And in the hidden computer data, Charlotte's name showed up. Edward didn't scream. He didn't break things. He just stared at the computer screen. Cold, calm, focused. And suddenly he remembered everything Grace had said. She wasn't crazy. She wasn't imagining things. She was watching. She noticed what others didn't. Charlotte didn't marry him because she loved him. She married him because she wanted power, and she had help. Toby wasn't just a friend. He was like family. He was the godfather of Edward's only niece. He was the best man at Edward's wedding. But now he was just another face in the photos Edward would soon throw away. Grace saw the truth before anyone else did. And she was the only one who never pretended. But betrayal is not just a matter of money. It is something deep, something personal. The more Edward searched, the more dangerous the truth became. What he didn't know was this. The car crash was not the end of the plan. It was only the beginning. The day Edward Blake walked into that hotel, something inside him broke. He wasn't there to fight. He wasn't there to shout. He wasn't even there to talk. He just wanted to see the truth with his own eyes. Room 406. Inside, his wife Charlotte was wearing a bathrobe, holding a glass of wine in one hand. Sitting next to her, without a shirt, was Toby, Edward's business partner. He was looking at documents from Edward's company on his phone. Both of them looked up. They froze. Their faces turned pale. Charlotte's mouth opened, but she couldn't say anything. Toby tried to smile, a fake, nervous smile. Edward didn't shout. He didn't cry. He didn't ask questions. He just said one word. Don't. That one word made the whole room quiet. He looked at them both slowly. Then he turned around and walked away. He didn't say anything else. But from that moment, everything changed. Back at the mansion, Grace was in the kitchen. She was peeling carrots, calm, focused, just like every other day. But she already knew something had changed. Not because she listened at doors, not because someone told her. She just felt it. Something in the air was different, lighter, like a heavy curse had been broken. Upstairs, Charlotte was walking in circles. She kept calling Toby again and again, but he wasn't picking up. By the time Edward came home, Charlotte was ready with a plan. She had tears in her eyes. She had stories in her head. She had excuses about being confused, just having drinks, feeling emotional, but she never got to say any of it. Because Edward didn't go upstairs, he went straight into his study and shut the door. That night, the whole house was silent, a silence that felt alive. The next morning, Edward made 2 phone calls. First, to his lawyer. He asked for divorce papers. He wanted a full separation of money and property. He didn't want to talk about it. No deals, no begging, just finish it. Second, to a secret financial expert, a private investigator who checks company money.
Someone not connected to anyone else.
At saying, he gave the man full access to all his records, every email, every account, every deal. In 2 days, the results came in. Toby had been stealing money for years. He had created fake companies, fake people, fake charity groups. He even made fake building projects in Ghana, Dubai, and Singapore. On the outside, everything looked real, but when you looked closely, it was all fake. Charlotte's name showed up again. This time, it was connected to a trust fund, a fake charity. She said it belonged to her uncle in Bali. But it was just another lie. Edward didn't cry. He didn't yell, He just signed the papers. He froze every account they shared. He sold their holiday home in Spain within 1 day. The next morning, Charlotte woke up and found out her credit cards didn't work. The maids no longer answered her bell. Even the family chef had left. The house was no longer hers. She screamed. She threatened. She begged. But Edward didn't say a word. And Grace? She kept doing her work, folding towels, cleaning corners, acting like she was invisible. But Edward saw her now. He knew what she had done for him, and he knew he could never repay her. No one tells you how betrayal feels until it happens to you. It doesn't always come with blood. Sometimes it comes with a toothbrush next to yours. It comes with someone telling you I love you while secretly trying to destroy you. It comes with birthday cards from the same hands that forged your name on fake documents. And by the time you see the truth, it's already too late. Edward's phone rang. A private number. He answered. The voice on the other end was a man. He sounded nervous. I have something you need to hear, he said. He was a contractor. A man who worked on one of Edward's building projects in Abuja. He had only worked there for 6 weeks, but something he saw had never felt right. He had saved emails. He had voice recordings. One of the recordings had Toby's voice on it. Toby said, "If Ed finds out about this, we blame it on him. We make it look like he signed everything. He goes to jail. We go free." The audio was from 6 months before the Dubai deal. Edward didn't waste time. He sent the recording to his lawyer and to the financial crime police. Toby was not in the country anymore. He was hiding in Morocco, but now police were preparing to bring him back. Charlotte started losing control. She threw glasses on the floor. She said Grace had cursed the house. At night, she walked around barefoot, whispering to herself. She told the neighbors that ghosts were following her. She said betrayal was haunting her. Edward didn't reply. He just changed the locks. 2 weeks later, Charlotte left the house. She took only 2 bags. She left behind her wedding ring. She left behind all her lies. She never came back. The next morning, Grace knocked softly on Edward's office door. She didn't bring a mop. She wasn't holding cleaning things. She was holding a file. Inside the file were receipts, old ones from over a year ago. They showed that Charlotte had sent money to 2 unknown people. One of the names belonged to the company that owned the truck that hit Edward's car. The crash, the accident. She handed him the file and said just one thing. They were trying to kill you. Edward didn't ask how she found out. He didn't need to. Because some people wait to be heroes. But Grace, she already was one. That night, Edward gave the file to the police. The officers went to the truck yard at midnight. By sunrise, 3 people were arrested. The truck driver confessed. He said, "I was paid to delay him, maybe scare him. I didn't know it would go so wrong. I didn't know who I was working for. But the payment trail was clear, and the money came from Charlotte's secret account." 3 months passed. Toby was arrested in Tangier. He was brought back to Lagos in handcuffs. There were no interviews, no news cameras, no special treatment, no bail. The court case took a long time, but the proof was strong. No one could lie their way out. Charlotte disappeared. Dawson. Some people said she went to South Africa. Others said she changed her name and became a yoga teacher in Bali. Edward didn't care. He just had no way. But didn't care. He had survived. But surviving doesn't mean the pain is gone. Some nights, Edward still sat in his living room. He stared at the floor where Grace once knelt, begging him not to leave the house. He looked at the stairs, at the silence, and he wondered, how close was I to dying that day? This story isn't over yet, because one evening, Grace walked into the room, not as a maid, not as a cleaner, but as someone whose mission was complete. She said, "I'll be leaving tomorrow." Edward stood up. His voice shook. "You saved my life." Grace didn't cry. She didn't smile. She said, "I wasn't sent to stay. I was sent to see what no one else could see, and to speak before it was too late." In a wait. Then she turned and walked away. No photo, no goodbye, just the soft sound of her footsteps fading, like a ghost. Edward Blake rebuilt his life, slowly, silently. He ended every joint project. He rebuilt his company, Crestrock, from the ground up. He hired young people, paid interns fairly. He added rules to stop cheating. He made everything open and honest. He stopped going to big parties. He stopped pretending to be happy for the cameras. He started walking again. Not because he had no pain, but because he had walked through the fire and made it out alive. And Grace? She disappeared. No phone number, no address. But 6 months later, in another part of the city, a tired woman opened the door of a small house. She had been crying. Her hands were shaking. Standing at the door was a girl. She wore a plain brown dress and simple shoes. "Are you the therapist?" the woman asked. No," the girl said. "I'm the housemaid." Newside, that home, a man was cheating. A marriage was falling apart. A child was hiding in fear. But Grace had arrived, and wherever she stepped in, lies died, and truth was born.